Hi guys, Carlos here. So Jack and I just finished talking about the characters and stuff. So I think we have a really good understanding of where we're going with those. But for now, our homework assignment has to do with the actual page layouts as we tell the story. So I'm going to keep my introduction short because this is not the fun part. The fun part is what I'm about to do on the Cintiq and also the iPad. I want to compare a couple tools. I have my companion that I'm going to be using Sketchbook Pro on, and then I'm going to be using Procreate on the Apple on the iPad. Not really sure why I forgot about that one. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's go see what's happening on the computers. So here we have this neat little layout that Jack created for us. It's really cool because it gives us the boundaries of what we would imagine the page to be. And what I did was he emailed me the layout here, and I'm in Procreate on the iPad right now. And what I did was I clicked this plus sign up here at the top right of my screen, and then they have all these wonderful presets here, but I went to, and of course it's going to do that. Get out of here. And what I did was I found out what the dimensions were for the layout kit that that Jack created, and I hit the plus sign, and then over here I hit custom, and then I saw that it was 3300 by 2550. So I punched in those numbers. Here, we'll do it again. 3300. This was 2550, and then I hit create. So that gives us all of the real estate that we need. I click this wrench here. I hit insert, import image. So when Jack emailed me those, the layout guides, I just imported them, saved them to my camera roll on my iPad. And you see, it just lays out absolutely perfectly. And now I have all my templates down. Now what's neat is I'm going to go back to the gallery, and you see how I have both of these are entitled or untitled artwork. So what I'm going to do is say robot. I'm going to name this robot monster page 1. I'm going to take this guy and name it robot monster page 2. I'm going to hit return. So now if I take robot monster page 1, and you see how it activates it, or it gives you a visual representation that that page is actually the one that you're manipulating, I'm going to drag it on top of the page 2. And when I let go, you see that it created a group. So now I can all of the artwork that I'm creating within Procreate for a given project, I can now file away. And then here I'm going to say, I'm going to name it robot monster pages. And then let's just say that we're obviously going to have more than just 2 layouts for this project. If I touch and swipe to the left, I can duplicate that page. And then what I'm going to do is I will rename this know why it's not letting me. There we go. I'm going to hit delete and 3. So there, now I can have all of my contents, all of my roughs in the same folder as I'm working in Procreate. I'm going to go and head over to page 1. I'm going to zoom in to this very first page. And then I'm going to look at our notes, which I believe are on the web page, theprocessprojects.net. And Jack and I got together and we broke down all of the pages and we explained with words what could be happening on that page. So we have a number 1, it's called front matter. Number 2 is title page, but none of that we need to worry about right now. That's just going to be later on. We're going to do some graphic design and design those. So all I'm going to worry about are from pages 3 on down to where we don't have any more illustrated content. So the first page that I need to worry about, the description says, robot kid lives at home with his parents, his human parents. He doesn't have any clue that he's a robot. So possible treatments for this. We have a living room, the robot with his family, they're playing, they have toys, playing with toys in the room or in the yard even with the picket fence. During the conversation that we were having about these pages, we thought it would be funny to have the robot possibly wanting to be playing like a normal kid, but robots can't really play with water. They can't really, they can't take a balloon and rub it on his head and stick the balloon to the wall with static electricity, because static electricity, water, all that stuff is not a good idea for robots to be playing with. So let's see what we have. We can either be inside playing with stuff, outside playing with stuff. Let's take a look at what's happening on the next page just to see how we're going to let this story unravel. So the next page, it says they have him sheltered and cared for him like a human. Robot is peering over the fence at a neighbor's, having fun at a pool party. Reveal his yard is baby-proofed and not so much fun. Okay, so it would be really fun to have an interior and then that turns into an exterior, just because it would be different. We're not always going to be outside. And it'd be a lot of fun to do things like, I don't know, if we were in a living room or even in his own bedroom, like normal kids might have squirt guns and a bunch of really kooky toys. But what would a robot have in his room? And we were joking around that maybe he has like a mobile made out of the spark plugs, or he's got a wrench and some sprockets and stuff like that. So that's the conversation that you should have with yourself. If you have a robot who thinks he's a kid and some human parents that have babied this robot so much, what would that room look like? So let's see. I think as I talk, I'm thinking about inside his room, because that's where we're going to be able to have a lot of fun. If he has a bookcase, what kind of books would be on there? What kind of magazines would be in there? Robot Times or, any kind of funny robot type of stuff. And maybe we sneak in there like a book of Pinocchio, where Pinocchio was a fake boy and all he wanted to do was be a real boy. We can maybe sneak some of that stuff in there too. So now let's take a look at what we're actually going to be doing. And I'm sorry, I could have been talking and drawing at the same time. I have just realized that you guys are looking at a blank page. So I haven't used this tool in Procreate yet, but it's going to be fun. If I click the wrench here, and then I click canvas, touch, I guess. And then you see here where it says perspective guide. I'm going to turn that guy on. And you notice I have 2-point perspective happening right now. Let's see, can I mess with that edit perspective guide? So you see here, this is your horizon line, and you can actually manipulate these points to get more drastic or more you can affect the vanishing points. And let's see, I think if I click on this guy, yeah, I can delete it. So if I wanted to have a 1-point perspective, I can have that. And that would be funny. I'm actually, here, this is going to be a sneak peek. I was actually thinking of something like this for when the robot is walks into the lunchroom, So this is, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this right now. So I'm thinking like, the robot will be here. And then there would be a bunch of these tables just lined up. But no one, if you guys remember during the early episodes, we have where the robot walks into the lunchroom and no one wants to be his friend. And I was thinking something like that. And then like way off in the distance, you see like the big monster sitting at some table. But that's just to show you roughly how how dramatic you can make a 1-point perspective drawing happen. But that's for later. It's just, I get to talking and ideas start running out and I have to write them down before I forget. So let's see, let's edit perspective guide again. And what's neat is you see how you have this 1 point. If I click again, now I have 2-point. And the reason why that comes in handy is you can actually move these things around. So it's a really neat, this is a really simple way to set things up. Let's say we're outside somewhere. I can actually draw this line here to the horizon line. I can go farther down here too. And if I follow these lines, you see how easily it becomes where you can draw a block. You draw a block, and you're like, okay, well, that's boring. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But if we start doing things like this, if I draw a few vertical lines here, some vertical lines here, if we do this, all of a sudden you see how we have the makings of a house, right? And this is the doorway. This is a really tall house, but I'm from Chicago. We have apartment buildings. So this could be a very, very neat little apartment building. Even though, yet again, these guys live in a house. They don't live in an apartment building. But someone on this show needs a little bit of focus. Anyway, but you see how fun this gets. And perspective has a tendency to be a little bit difficult when you're trying to draw just from scratch with no guides or anything. It's real easy to get lost. But with these guides, it helps. Let's see what we do if we try to do an interior. Let's delete that one. Let's say if this is the wall, all right, let's go vertical. This is super dramatic angle, but you can come in here and start laying out. The beginnings of, this would be the beginnings of the interior, right? And kind of like what we were talking about before. If we have a bookcase, and this is just me playing with this, I'm not completely convinced that this is even going to work. But you can start to see how you could just very quickly just start laying out different parts of the robot's room. And again, we were talking about these are going to be super rough. We just want to get a good idea of the layout, the story that we're going to tell. I'm going to redo this to a certain point. But, let's say he's got a bed right in here. That's his little mattress. I don't know. We have this bookcase is absolutely hilarious, but so yeah, so that's that tool. I'll come back to this and maybe I'll plan this a little bit better, but yeah, but let's go take a look at what happens in the in Sketchbook Pro. So here we are in Sketchbook Pro. What I did was I went ahead and downloaded the files that Jack sent me. So those live here on this computer. I'm going to go to File, Open. I'm going to select the landscape one and hit Open again. And you see here how we now have that template again. I'm going to close some of these windows because I don't really need those. So here's layer 1. What I'm going to do is lock it, this little icon here. I'm going to hit this plus sign to add a layer on top of it. And I could go through here, and if I click and hold, I can come here and rename layer, and we'll say we'll call it template. Layer 1 will be the first section, and I like to use blue because back in the day, that's what we used to do. We would do blue pencil and then scan. The blue would magically disappear. Okay, so here we are. Similarly to Procreate, Sketchbook Pro has this perspective tool as well. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to do the 1 point for now just to see. And you see how the cursor turns into this really wild 6-pointed star type of thing. Now what's neat is I can click and it it forces my line to stay within the perspective. So so you can, I mean, with the tool in Procreate, you'd get all the guides that you can see and everything, but it wasn't holding my pencil stroke to any guide. It wasn't restricting my stroke to anything. Whereas this, I can come in here and I could just start quickly drawing lines. And what it's doing is it's when I hit or when I click down and I start moving my pencil to one side, that guide tries to figure out which direction I'm moving in. So if I'm moving in a diagonal, it'll force my pencil line to stay in that diagonal. And similarly, if we do horizontal, it sticks it. It's like putting your pencil up against a ruler. And if you go diagonal, obviously we're dealing with the triangle. And vertically, big surprise. It's sticking. It's forcing my pencil stroke to stay vertically. I'm going to go ahead and clear this. Click the little eraser tool. So here's the 2-point perspective. This is really neat too. So if I want to stay vertical here, right? And we start moving in that diagonal there. That diagonal there. So it actually takes a look at where your pencil is and the direction in which you're moving, and it makes the adjustment. But the neat thing is it sticks, it forces your pencil stroke to stay within the boundaries. It's just like using your drafting stuff. And then they also have like 3-point perspective. That's for when you're really trying to go bananas. You can get this fisheye thing going, which is pretty crazy. Oops. Well, actually, that's not constraining anything. So I don't know. I don't know what we're trying to accomplish with that. We'll play with that one later. For now, what I want to do is I want to see if I click on that 1-point perspective, how can I then, if I wanted to start there. All right, let's see. We have to figure out the interior of a room. But I don't know if I want the vanishing point down there. There we go. That's what I was looking for. You see this point here? That's the vanishing point. That's what I was looking for. I was just zoomed in way too much. So if I take this point and I drag it around, I can place it wherever I want. Let's say we're going to go here. I'm going to lock that guy real quick and then erase that. 1 point. Anyway, you see that point there. This is where everything is going to disappear to. So wherever my pencil, wherever I start, everything is going to go towards that point. And the vertical lines are going to stay vertical lines. So now, if I click on this guy and go horizontally, you can see where, here, let's do this. Let's erase that. Let's try to start the interior of a room. Let's start with the walls. Let's say that wall goes like that. And then I'm going to go up. So let's draw a window real fast. So as far as trying to get something down real fast, so far, I think the perspective tool in Sketchbook Pro is so much faster, so much cleaner. I know that I can get in here and get some shapes down real fast and not have to worry about my goofy hand not really following the line. I'm a big fan of using rulers and triangles and stuff. Anyway, this is where it's starting to get boring, so I'm going to do a speed drawing thing now, and I will connect back with you when I'm done. See you soon. So there you have it. I went through and I used, you could see where I was adjusting some of the pages, and I'd get in there and I'd have an idea going into the page, but then I didn't really think that it was good enough. So then I just erased the whole thing. And that's the cool thing about doing this is you can investigate different ideas, and if it just doesn't look right or doesn't feel right, or you think that you can do it in a different way, just erase and do it all over again. That's why we're trying to keep everything nice and loose for now, because I don't even know what Jack is going to say. But that's what's neat about working on a team is my ideas and his ideas come together, and then you're able to pick the best one that you think fits the story. So, speaking of Jack, let's go check in with him. That's it for me in this episode. We'll see you soon.